Oh, friend, I invite you to buckle up because this story is so beautiful. This is the story of Alyssa Utek. Alyssa signed up with me for the whole shebang, the brand and identity package, and I could not have been more thrilled for her because it is exactly what she needed. She needed the solid foundation of identity and then all of the bits and pieces to help her take that identity and create something in the real world from it. So, that's what this is. I'm going to walk you through her brand identity document. I'm going to walk you through her style guide and all of the things that she got as included with this identity and design package. Alyssa, on our first call, I could tell that she has a heart as big as the whole universe. She's such a wonderful soul. And it's hard. It's hard when you have, I understand, I have a heart as big as the universe too. It's hard when you are so led by soul and heart and love and compassion to also have solid boundaries. And that's important because we uncovered that Alyssa is a holistic boundaries coach. This is not a title that she had given herself. This is something that came out of one of our calls because she is also full of so many phenomenal resources. She spent years on trainings and learning new modalities and didn't really understand at that point how they all fit together. She just knew she was led by her soul to take these trainings and to learn these things like this giant library inside of her because she knew that they were going to be important, even if it didn't all come together yet. So this is how it all comes together. I listened to I listened to her former career, I listened to her life's experience, and I listened to her professional experience, and I thought, this is it. You're not just a boundaries coach, you're a holistic boundaries coach. That tells a story. So in her brand identity document, I want you to see the richness that's in here because it's wild. The other thing is that Alyssa at the time really wanted to spend the next couple of years focusing on writing a book, which is great and doesn't pay bills. And it's hard. It's hard. It's easy to get excited about writing a book because it seems like such an obvious next step. But it's a waiting. It's a continuing to wait on the sidelines. It's a continuing to put off taking action. Beautiful intention, and also she gets to step into the real world before the book is done. She gets to write the book and also make sales. She gets to write the book and also do the good work in the real world. So this is how I helped her to see that. Her core brand essence. So every identity document has different stuff in it. Every brand is different. So there's usually some stuff about services, there's usually some stuff about messaging, but every single document is bespoke because so is every brand. For Alyssa, we start with your core brand essence. The women who need your help are not okay. Maybe they haven't been okay for a while, even though when asked how they're doing, they simply respond with, I'm okay. Because what else can they say? They need your help because they don't have language or strength to advocate for themselves and their well-being yet, but they're ready to change. They're starting to see that there's more to life than being okay, and that enough really isn't enough. They're tired. They're disconnected from themselves. They may feel resentful of the people and the responsibilities that they actually love, but they're using up any small amounts of energy they can muster. This is powerful. Energy is constantly leaking out of their lives, and other people's expectations, emotions, and beliefs are constantly leaking in. And over time, those leaks have drained them of their vitality, their clarity, and their sense of self. Your work helps them to identify where those leaks are happening and to build the kinds of structures that will allow their energy and their joy to stop slipping away and to instead become something that grows naturally within them every day. That's boundaries work. That's taking all of the modalities that Alyssa has spent years gathering and putting them into something real, something meaningful, something sellable, something that she can communicate about, something that she can create actual change with. So then we have the question that your brand asks. When your brand finds these women, it asks them, where are you leaking joy? I love this because on one of our calls, Alyssa had the most perfect metaphor. She and I have become a metaphor factory in this brand. And I loved this one. She said, a lot of people think that they have boundaries, but what they actually have is more like room temperature Swiss cheese, soft, floppy, and full of holes. So where are you leaking joy? It's such a simple question, but it creates space for a much larger conversation. Because everybody knows what brings you joy. That's a question that everybody has heard. But what happens once that source of joy has dried up? Is the boundary there protecting the joy? Or has it leaked out all over the place and now it's gone? Most women have never looked at their lives with the understanding that joy isn't actually a given. It's a requirement. It takes work to protect. They think joy is something that they're somehow doing wrong or failing at, that it comes easily to everyone but themselves. Your work helps them to slow down and identify where those leaks are happening so that the leaks can be closed and their joy can be protected. And then we have her brand's core philosophy about every relationship being a boundary, the core philosophy, because everything exists in a relationship and those relationships need boundaries. Boundaries around people, money, food, sleep, technology, time, work, our bodies, our energy. All of it needs boundaries. All of it needs Alyssa. Your brand's unique approach. These are the modalities that she has, and they all work together. And I say humans are funny, squishy, sensitive creatures, and you love them for it and support them through it. And this concept of internal versus external boundaries, so powerful, recognizing that we all know what a boundary is between me and someone else. But what about the boundaries between me and how I speak to myself? The boundaries between me and how I treat myself? One of the things I said to Alyssa is, we do this thing where we're working and we say, I'll just get these 3 more things done and then I can go pee. I have to pee now, but I'm going to get 3 more things done before I go pee. I would never, you would never, she would never say to a loved one, a child, a parent, a friend, a coworker, get these 3 things done before you can go pee. No, we would say, go pee. You have to pee, go pee. But we do it to ourselves. And so building that into this, recognizing, and this is not a thing that Alyssa had seen. She was thinking about the boundaries between self and other, but not the boundaries between self and self. So building this whole other beautiful piece into what she's doing. Every time you skip a meal to get more done, you've crossed an internal boundary. Every time you stay up later than you intended, knowing you'll pay for it in the morning, you've crossed an internal boundary. Every time you ignore what your body, your energy, and your emotion are asking for, you've crossed an internal boundary. And when crossing your own boundaries becomes a pattern, it starts to tell a deeper story, the story of how you believe you deserve to be treated. This work is as much about self-love as it is about defense. And then identifying the transformation she creates. We have before working with her and after working with her. And it's powerful. Her natural gifts. Not just talking about, oh, you're doing this thing because you're good at this thing. No, you were born to do this thing. I helped her to understand that she's not just doing this thing because it's a choice. She's not just doing this thing because it makes sense. She's doing this because it is work that she was born into. And that's important. It changes how she shows up in her work. It takes away the guilt of, I'm choosing this when really I should be going doing something else, something more practical, something that brings instant revenue. This is her thing. This is the thing. It gets to be the thing that becomes practical. It gets to be the thing that does bring instant revenue when she releases the guilt. Because we all have that guilt. It's not an Alyssa thing. It's all of us. We all have guilt around building something of our own. But we're here for this. Alyssa was born for this work. And then her brand's personality. Recognizing that she doesn't have to become someone else to speak. She doesn't have to become someone else to write on social media or write an email. I don't want her to create a fake personality. I want her to know that her natural personality is beautiful and expansive, and this is how. You have the kind of presence that makes people feel welcomed and seen rather than analyzed or judged. That's so important in such tender, vulnerable work. Your brand's key differentiators. This is big because there are other boundaries coaches. There are other coaches in this space. And I want her to know what sets her apart. What sets her apart from all other coaches? That magical spark inside of her that she is not capable of seeing, because none of us is capable of seeing our own spark. I can't see mine. It's just a fact. I have too many of the weird things that I've absorbed from life, like that I'm not special and I'm not smart. I have too many of those in my brain and in my body for me to be able to recognize my own spark. But I can see Alyssa's, and I can put it down on paper to help her to see her own in this way. And then her messaging pillars. And we also have a beautiful, so for her, it's boundaries protect joy. Everything is a relationship. Most of your baggage isn't actually yours. And when things change on the inside, things change on the outside. Those are the pillars. Those are the foundational pillars of everything she writes. And then we have her voice, and these all fit together. So this tells the story of how she speaks, and it's not creating a voice for her. Like I said, it's expressing to her what is valuable about her natural voice, because it's so easy to be tempted to pretend to be somebody else when you're writing an email, and I don't want her to do that. I don't want her to feel like she has to pretend at anything in order to be valuable enough, because we do that all the time. We write differently because it sounds more professional. Don't do that. Be you. Be you. Alyssa gets to be Alyssa. And then we have your messaging bank. I love this because every time she's making a post, every time she's showing up in a speaking space, every time she's writing an email, if she draws a blank, she comes back here. This gets to be the first line. Pick one of these, any of these, and they get to be the first line of the post, the first line of the email. She does not have to think of this stuff anymore because it's here. We as business owners have so many things happening in our brains all at the same time. How to start an email should not be one of them. So I wanted to show you this messaging bank and the voice and the messaging pillars. Imagine showing up to a podcast interview and being able to say, I know what I'm going to talk about because I'm going to talk about these three things. Pick three of the messaging pillars and just speak on those. Podcast is a hit. Love it. Easy ways to show up in the world because she's not having to start from scratch on any of this. And she now gets to take this entire document, put it into her AI engine of choice, and it knows how to speak on her behalf. And there's more, but I will tell you after. So powerful metaphors for her brand. The holy boundaries metaphor. This is the soft, floppy, full of holes Swiss cheese. Then we have unpacking the baggage. We have the hermit crab shell metaphor. Metaphor is big. It's a way that she communicates, and she communicates through humor. That's the other thing, is identifying that I don't want her to stifle her humor. I want her to know that her humor is a beautiful point of connection in how she communicates. And then creating an ideal client profile. Cool. Who is this person that you're speaking to? What is she experiencing? What does she want? Why is she drawn to you versus other coaches or just not doing anything? And what is that moment where she hits the tipping point and she realizes that she's ready? And then services. We have mini sessions. We have workshops. Alyssa used to be a teacher. She is still a teacher, just in a different way. So letting her live into that through workshops, recognizing that she gets to write a book. She gets to write a book. And between now and when the book is written, she gets to take what she already has and create a workbook that is easy to do now and easy to publish. And then cohorts. Love it. One-on-one work in speaking engagements and working on the book. And then I talk to her about pricing and the long-term vision for her brand, because this is important. I tell her she gets to be the Brene Brown of boundaries. Because before Brene Brown was talking about shame, nobody was really talking about shame. And so she gets to be that. People are talking about boundaries, but not the way Alyssa gets to talk about boundaries. And then the deeper impact of her work. The ripple effect of her work extends beyond the individual person. When one woman learns to protect her energy and reclaim her joy, the impact spreads through her relationships, her family, and the generations that come after. This is powerful stuff. And I told her bonus points if at some point you do a workshop for moms and their young kids to learn boundaries side by side. Absolutely. And then a summary of the whole thing. And now that she has this whole thing, first off, she gets to put it into the AI engine that she prefers, and it knows all of the answers. She gets to put this in and then say, write me a 6-month step-by-step plan for how I enact all of this, how I become this. Cool. It's going to give her a step-by-step plan. Or she gets to take it to her VA, and the VA now knows how to communicate all of this stuff. She gets to use these documents as a source guide so that she is not having to teach people how to advocate for the brand. So moving on, because it's not just Alyssa. So what you've seen so far really is the heart of the brand. And then we move into design. This is the style guide for Alyssa. And she gets, this is like a little cover page. The idea behind the shell. I'm just going to share with you the idea behind this shell image. First off, Alyssa is big into water. She feels connected to water. And her website at the time that she came to me, it had water in it, but in a way that didn't feel powerful. It felt a little bit obvious. It felt like a great first step, but she needed something next level. And I wanted to create that for her in a way that didn't feel nautical, because that's just weird. We don't want to feel like we're walking into that section, that nautical section at Marshall's or Home Goods. That's just not the vibe. So instead of feeling nautical, I went with this shell because I did some research and I figured out that shells are boundaries. And what's great is the shell is the boundary created by the creature inside of the shell. And if you've ever looked at a shell and you see the lines on the shell, those are growth lines. Those are lines like the lines in the tree. That is, the thing inside of the shell has grown, so it builds more shell. It builds a bigger boundary. So it's not trying to fit its bigger self into its existing smaller boundaries. What a perfect metaphor for what Alyssa is creating. And also in this, calling out that there are some holes in there and there's some spiky stuff in there. And it's not all pretty. And it gets... Am I stalling? It gets to... Okay. Calling out that it's not all pretty, but it is all beautiful. So, this is Alyssa's logo. A logo is not a brand. A logo is a piece of a brand. And I'll show you that this is not just one logo. This is a series of layouts. So we have the primary layout, we have the secondary layout, we have an icon version, we have a signature logo, and we have a love signature, like a sign-off, like she gets to put this in her emails as the signature in the email. She gets to put this on Canva templates. with love and boundaries. Alyssa. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then we have a beautiful color palette that felt very organic to her. And we have fonts that are very web friendly. It is important that they are beautiful and fit the brand and that they actually function in the real world. And then these background photos, I love these. These are zoomed in pictures of shells, and I faded them out so it's not so obvious. And you'll see them in context in a little bit. And then Alyssa doesn't have pictures yet. She is going to get professional photos, but in the meantime, I needed her to have something to work with. So I asked AI to create these. Beautiful. And then we have these little icons, these little sort of blobby, globular looking shells. And what I love about this is that it tells the story. It is a shell, but it's also a little bit abstract because we don't want to look like the nautical section at Whole Goods. This is so perfect for all of the pieces of the brand. And then we have these beautiful women that are holding their shells, their boundaries. They are hugging, they are loving, they are protecting their boundaries. And then we have a mock-up of the homepage of her website. She gets a full thing of this. It's not just this is just a little snapshot for the style guide. But the point of this is so that when a web designer or a VA or a graphic designer comes into her world, they're not having to answer questions that don't already have answers. I have gone through the steps of creating the homepage for her website and creating Canva templates for her because I need to figure out what the questions are so that I can answer them before someone else needs to come in and find out how things fit together. What is the visual balance? Do these things get faded out in the background? Are they bold images? I don't know until I test it out and see. This is the design existing in the real world. And then we have Canva templates. How cute are these? And they are pre-filled with content. They are pre-filled with content so that Alyssa then can take these and just publish them. She's got months of social media content at her fingertips, ready to post. Easy. Making it as easy as humanly possible to move forward with the brand. And then just this little kiss at the end. What she had before and what she has now. Alyssa U, Align and Thrive versus Alyssa U Tech, Holistic Boundaries Coach. I love what she had before for what it was. It was a starting point. It was a place to get her to the point where she was ready for the next level. It's a good logo. It's a good logo. What does Align and Thrive mean? I don't really know. What does Holistic Boundaries Coach mean? That's much more clear. Who is Alyssa U? But I know who Alyssa U Tech is. Alyssa U Tech is someone who's not hiding anymore. She's ready. And just a quick, I know this is a long video. I make long videos because I get so passionate about my work. Thank you for still being here. So in her folder of brand files, she gets digital and print versions of all of the assets that are in this guide. She gets her fonts. She gets the files to create. I'll give you a little peek. This is the homepage, the whole homepage. So you can see that it's not just that little snapshot, and it's all content ready. None of this is placeholder text. It is all ready to be used. And then she gets the identity document that we looked at, the style guide, that we just looked at, vector logo files, which printers love. I will explain that when you sign up for this and get your vector logo file. And then she also gets a whole document of Canva templates. I created so much for her because I want her to succeed. I want her to succeed and to not feel like she gets this folder and then has to figure out what to do with it. That's not my job. My job is to help her if I were a shoe salesman, I would be the one coming in making her custom shoes that fit her perfectly that she gets to walk out of the store in. Not coming in asking her to try on a million different shoes and then giving her the wrong size that are too big for her to step in. So she has to learn to walk a different way. No, my job is to give her the perfect shoes that she can walk in right now. So this work, this beautiful work, is about so much more than the design. The design is a piece of it. Identity is the heart of it. And design is the stuff on the outside. The heart is the root of everything that Alyssa does. It is the root of everything that I do. It is the root of everything that you do. And the design is how that gets expressed to the world. I invite you to think through this and ask yourself, what pieces of this whole picture are you missing? What do you feel like you're having to start from scratch on? What feels like it's bouncing around in your brain, getting in the way of you stepping forward? There is something big and beautiful and powerful ahead of you. There's a reason that you're here. And there's a reason that you haven't been able to do it on your own. And that's okay. It's hard to do things on your own. And you get to get help. I am here to help. Let me be the person who helps you through this journey, because no one gets there alone. And I'm really fun. And I can't wait to get to meet you, because I bet you're really fun too. I bet you're fun and you're deep and you're wonderful, even if you don't think so. So let's do this. I am here. I am so ready to help you. And if you want to see the full extent of Alyssa's, if you want to read through the whole document, if you want to see the whole brand guide, let me know. Send me an email and I will send it to you, because I love to share this work. It is so powerful and it is so good. Till next time. Bye.